The cold came in first, a sharp, bitter draft that cut straight through the warmth of my little music shop. And then a girl. She looked too fragile for November, 17 years old, maybe 18, wearing a threadbare coat and a backpack that looked heavier than she was. She stood just inside the door, her eyes lost among the vinyl racks and dusty sheet music. I should have said, "No, we're not hiring." My shop, Melody Lane Records, hadn't turned a profit in 6 months. But when she finally looked up, I didn't see a potential employee, or even a runaway. I saw a ghost. She had the exact same intensity in her eyes, the sharp angle of the jaw, the dark, almost midnight blue hair of a woman I hadn't spoken to in over 16 years. Before we continue, please leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, and subscribe to our Best Chapters channel. We're building a community of people who know that our most important chapters can happen at any age. Now back to the story. When she asked for a job, I froze. And when she told me her name, and then her mother's name, the world seemed to tilt. Diana. My heart stopped because I knew that name. I knew it from 17 years ago. I hired her on the spot. I gave her a warm place to sleep. But I didn't tell her why. Because if my suspicion was true, if this girl walking into my shop wasn't just a coincidence, then everything was about to change for her, for me, and for the person who had cut me out of their life over a business disagreement years ago. The person whose face I saw reflected in this young stranger. What I discovered in the following weeks would force me to make a choice that could destroy what little family I had left, or finally give me a new one. My name is Eleanor Vance, and this is my story. It was a chilly Monday in late autumn when she walked in. The kind of gray day where the jazz records I played seemed the only thing keeping the chill from settling inside the shop's plaster walls. I was behind the counter reviewing invoices, figures that looked worse every time I tallied them. The small 2-story building felt too big and too quiet with only me inside it. The girl moved slowly, her worn backpack dragging on one shoulder. She didn't browse casually. She was studying the inventory. She ran her fingers across the glossy spines of the classical records, then paused at the old, upright piano in the corner. She didn't touch it, just stood there killing time, somewhere warm to be for a little while. 20 minutes passed. She finally approached the counter, stopping a few feet away. "Excuse me." Her voice was soft, barely a whisper over the music. I looked up. "Yes. Are you hiring?" She shifted her weight. "I need work. I'm really good with music." I set my pen down. "How old are you?" 18. Quick practiced. "I know I'm young, but I work hard. I can prove it." 18. "What's your name?" "Juliet. Juliet Vance." "Vance." I turned the name over in my mind. No relation. "Where do you live, Juliet?" She looked down. "There's a shelter a few blocks over. I've been staying there." "A shelter?" This kid was homeless. "You're not from around here?" "No. Northern California. I ran away from a group home about a year ago." A group home? 18 years old. And already this much life behind her. "What about your parents?" She was quiet for a long moment. "My mother passed away when I was 12. Her voice was small. "My father died before I was born." That's what she told me. I watched her face, the way she said it, like she'd repeated those words so many times they didn't hurt anymore. "I'm sorry," I said. She nodded. "Thank you. What was your mother's name?" She looked up at me. "Diana. Diana Hayes." The air went out of the room. Diana. I saw her, not this girl but the girl from years ago. Bright red lipstick. A gentle voice. She used to come into the shop to meet Peter, my son. She'd sit on the bench and listen while he played the old piano in the corner. That was 16, 17 years ago. She came here all that spring and summer, then she stopped. I asked Peter about it once. He shrugged, said they broke up. Said she moved back to her hometown. He didn't seem bothered, just moved on. I never saw Diana again. Never knew what happened to her. Until now. This girl standing in front of me, Juliet Vance, 18 years old. Diana Hayes's daughter. The timeline fit. My stomach dropped. Could she be? I was jumping to conclusions. Diana had been Peter's girlfriend for one summer. Plenty of girls are named Juliet. Plenty of last names are Vance. But 18 years old, Diana's daughter, and that face. I needed to think. "Can I ask you something?" Juliet said. "Of course." Do you really have a job? Or were you just being nice? The hope in her voice, the fear underneath it. I made my decision. I have a job. You're hired if you want it. Her eyes went wide. Really? Can you start tomorrow at 9 o'clock? I came around the counter. There's a small apartment above the shop. It's not much, but it's warmer than the shelter. You can use the spare room until you find something permanent. I had to speak quickly. You'll work, and I'll pay you a small stipend once the accounts look better. But for now, that's payment enough. Juliet just stood there, shaking slightly. Her eyes filled up. Thank you, she said, her voice cracking. I won't let you down. I promise. I believe you. 9 o'clock tomorrow. She turned to go, stopped at the door. Why are you doing this? Because you asked, I said. And I have a lonely little shop that needs tending. She nodded and walked out into the cold. I sat back down, the old invoices spread out before me. The math was simple. Peter dated Diana 17 years ago. Juliet was 18 now. Could be coincidence or it could be something else. I didn't have proof, just a gut feeling and a familiar face. Tomorrow Juliet would come back. Tomorrow I could start asking the right, careful questions and see what I could learn. Juliet arrived at 8:45 the next morning. I was setting up the small window display when I saw her hurrying down the street. Same worn backpack, same nervous speed, like she was afraid I'd changed my mind. Good morning, I said, unlocking the door. Good morning. I'm not too early, am I? Not at all. Come on in. The lights flickered on, revealing the colorful chaos of the shop. I watched her eyes trace the lines of records on the shelves. Melody Lane records looked better in the morning light. Dust motes dancing in the sunbeams. Have you had breakfast? I asked. She hesitated. I'm fine. That meant no. There's a bagel shop 2 doors down. Go get yourself something warm. Tell Mrs. Rodriguez I sent you. She'll put it on my tab. I don't need to. You can't organize 8,000 vinyl records on an empty stomach. Go. I'll be here when you get back. She went. I used the time to prepare the small spare room upstairs. I cleared out the boxes of old inventory and moved the antique sewing machine Paul, my late husband, used to repair sleeves. The room was small with peeling wallpaper, but it was clean. I found a thick wool blanket and a fresh pillowcase. Juliet returned 15 minutes later with a coffee and a blueberry muffin. Thank you, she said softly. I'll pay you back when I get my first stipend. Don't worry about it. I spent the morning training her. How the records were organized: rock alphabetical by band, jazz by era, classical by composer. She learned fast, asked intelligent questions about the difference between a first pressing and a reissue, and wrote everything down in a small spiral notebook she pulled from her backpack. Do you get a lot of customers? She asked. Not like we used to. People stream everything now. And they download. They forget the pleasure of holding the music. That's sad, she said, running her hand along a shelf of old Motown albums. You can't get this feeling from a screen. The history. The weight. I liked her already. By lunchtime, I let her handle the register while I checked inventory in the back. I watched through the doorway. She was careful with customers, polite. She recommended a jazz compilation to a man looking for a gift. During a slow stretch in the afternoon, I found her sitting on the floor in the classical section, her notebook open. She was writing something, crossing it out, then starting again. What are you working on? I asked. She looked up, startled. Nothing. Just. She closed the notebook. Lyrics, I guess. Songs. You write music? Sort of. It's stupid. It's not stupid. She shrugged. Music was kind of my friend when things got bad at home. The way it just held things. I pulled up a sturdy milk crate and sat near her. What happened at home, Juliet? She was quiet for a long time, picking at the edge of the notebook. My mom had problems, she finally said. Mostly alcohol. Started after I was born. I don't really remember a time before it. I'm sorry. I took care of her, she continued, her voice flat. When I was old enough, maybe 10, I'd find her asleep in the living room. I got good at hiding bottles and making excuses for why we missed appointments. That's a lot for a kid to handle. I didn't have a choice. She looked up, her eyes clear and unwavering. I found her when she died. I was 12. I came home from school and she was just gone. She'd slipped in the shower. I called 911, but she was already gone. My chest tightened. Juliet, it's okay. It was 6 years ago, she said, closing the notebook firmly. After that, it was my aunt who didn't want me, and then the group home. That place was cold. They didn't care about us. We were just numbers. Files. So you left? Yeah. Last year I turned 18 and I just walked out. Been on my own since. She said it like it was simple. Like being homeless at 18 was just another mundane thing that happened. I understood loss. I understood loneliness. It hit me then, sitting on that crate surrounded by records. Juliet's story settling into my bones. I'd been alone too. 6 years ago my world fell apart. Paul died on a Thursday morning. A massive stroke. Sudden. No warning. We'd been married 42 years. We built Melody Lane Records together from nothing. Every record, every instrument, every creak in the floorboards, it was ours. The funeral was small. Paul didn't have much family left. Peter came, my only son, but he stayed in the back. He spent half the service checking his phone. He left right after without saying much. I spent 6 months in a fog, running the shop because I didn't know what else to do. The apartment upstairs felt too big. The silence pressed down on everything. Then Peter showed up one afternoon. He had a plan. A tech startup based on personalized digital soundscapes. He needed $400,000 to get started. He wanted me to sell the shop. Think about it, Mom, he'd said. This place barely breaks even. You're working yourself to death for what? Dad's gone. You don't need to keep doing this. I stared at him. This shop is all I have left of your father. It's our history. It's an old building, Mom. It's inventory. Dad wouldn't want you struggling. I'm not selling. His face changed. Got hard. You're choosing Dusty Records over helping your own son's future. I get it, Eleanor. Forget it. He grabbed his coat. Don't expect me to be around to watch you struggle. I'm done. He left. Didn't call. Didn't visit. 6 years of silence. I lost Paul. Then I lost Peter by his own choice. I ended up completely alone, just like Juliet. We both lost the people we loved. Both ended up with nobody. I looked at her sitting there on the floor. This kid who'd survived things she shouldn't have had to survive. And I saw the timeline clear as day. Peter and Diana dated 17 years ago. Juliet was 18 now, born after Diana left. Could be nothing. Or it could be everything. I needed proof. Real proof before I did anything that couldn't be undone. That night, after Juliet went to sleep in the spare room upstairs, I sat at the computer downstairs. I searched for DNA testing kits. I found a company that did ancestry matching and ordered 2 kits. They arrived 3 days later. Juliet was restocking the pop section when I brought them downstairs. Hey, I said. I got something kind of random. She turned around. What's that? I held up the boxes. Ancestry DNA kits. I watched a documentary about genealogy a few weeks ago. Got me curious about my family tree. I ordered 2 by accident. Want to try it with me? She looked at the box. Really? Could be fun. See where our families came from. I don't know much about mine. Just my mom. That's okay. It might show you something interesting. Sure, why not? We opened the kits at the counter. Read the instructions together. Swab your cheek, seal the tube, mail it back. Juliet did hers first. I watched her cap the tube. That's it, she asked. That's it. I did mine. We packaged them up, walked to the nearby post office together, and dropped them in the mail slot. How long does it take? Juliet asked. 3 weeks, maybe 4. That's a long time. Good things take time, I said. She smiled. The first real relaxed smile I'd seen from her. 3 weeks until I'd know for sure. 3 weeks until I'd have proof. And then I'd figure out what to do about Peter. The waiting started the very next morning. Juliet showed up at 8:30 with 2 large mugs of coffee from Mrs. Rodriguez's shop. She set one on the counter in front of me. Thought I'd return the favor, she said. It became our routine. Morning coffee. Her behind the register while I unpacked new inventory or filed invoices. Lunch shared in the small, dusty back office. Her asking questions about the musicians I'd loved in my younger days. me learning bits and pieces about who she was. The first week passed slow. Each day I watched her, looking for more signs, more proof beyond a familiar face and a timeline that fit. She worked hard, never complained, never showed up late. She was meticulous with the old records, treating each one with a reverence only a true music lover could understand. On Thursday, I found her sitting on the floor in the classical section during her break, the same spot she'd been that first day. She had a pair of old wired headphones on. "Find something good?" I asked. She held up the vinyl sleeve. Miles Davis. Kind of blue. She pulled one headphone off. "My mom used to play music like this. Smooth jazz. When I was little, before things got bad." I sat down on the milk crate. What was she like before? Juliet's face softened. She was good. Really good. She'd make up lyrics for me, funny little songs about the neighbors when she did the dishes. She loved music almost as much as I do. Almost. A small smile. I might love it more. What changed? I mean, what started the trouble? Juliet closed the record sleeve, ran her finger along the edge. I think she was always sad. My whole life, probably. Her parents kicked her out when she got pregnant. She was 21. She tried to make it work, but I don't think she ever stopped being heartbroken about losing her family. 21. Same age Diana was when Peter dated her. The drinking started when you were young? Yeah. I remember being maybe 5 or 6, finding bottles hidden in the laundry hamper, not knowing what they were. She paused. By the time I was 10, I was the one taking care of her. That's why I got good at hiding things. That's too much for a kid. I didn't have a choice. She opened the album sleeve again, staring at the liner notes without reading. But there were good days. Days when she'd be clean for a week, sometimes 2. She'd take me to the local music store. We'd listen to CDs. She had this old battered songbook. Torn cover, pages falling out. She gave it to me right before things got really bad. Told me to keep it safe. "Do you still have it?" She nodded, reached into her backpack, and pulled out a small leather-bound notebook. The cover was scarred, held together with heavy brown packing tape. The pages were yellowed and bent. "I carried it with me everywhere," she whispered. "On the streets, in the shelters. It's the only thing I have from her." She handed it to me carefully. I opened it. Inside the front cover, written in faded black ink, "For my Juliet. Always remember the melody. Love finds a way. Mom." My throat tightened. "This is beautiful." Juliet took the book back, holding it close. Sometimes I read it and try to remember her voice. The way she'd sing the songs she wrote. Make them sound like hope. "Is that why you write now? To remember her?" "Kind of," she admitted, putting the notebook away. "I write the version of her I wish I'd had. The mom who stayed clean. Who took care of me instead of the other way around. It's silly." "It's not silly. It's survival." She looked at me. "That's exactly what it is." The second week, Juliet suggested we reorganize the world music section. "It's placed in the back corner now," she said. "But world music and folk are really popular with the university crowd. If we move it to the front window, more people might come in." She was right. We spent 2 days rearranging. She made little handwritten signs, recommendations for different cultures and genres. Within 3 days, we'd sold more international albums than we had all month. "You're good at this," I told her. She shrugged. "I just know what I would have wanted when I was younger. A place that felt like it was for me." On Wednesday of that week, a woman came in looking for a recommendation for a new singer. Juliet suggested a young indie artist, explaining why her voice and themes would resonate. The woman bought 2 CDs and asked if we hosted listening parties. "Not currently," I said. After she left, Juliet turned to me. Could we? Could we host a listening club? Once a month. Maybe we could use the space in the back office. You want to run it? I could try. Let's do it." Her whole face lit up. "Really? Really?" She threw herself into the planning, made flyers, posted them around the neighborhood. By Friday, 7 people had signed up. I watched her with customers that week. She had a way with people, made them feel seen. An older lady came in looking for a gift for her grandson. Juliet spent 20 minutes with her, pulling records, explaining why a specific blues album mattered. You remind me of my daughter, the woman said when she left. She used to love music like this. Juliet smiled, but after the customer left, she got quiet. You okay? I asked. Yeah, she restocked a shelf. It's just weird. People being nice. You're not used to it. On the streets, you learn pretty fast who to trust. Most people look through you like you're not there. She paused. In the shelters, it's worse. Everyone's so angry, so tired. You keep your head down and stay out of the way. What was the worst part? She thought about it. The fear, I guess. Never knowing if someone was going to hurt you, take your stuff. I slept in doorways sometimes. Public library bathrooms. Anywhere that felt safe for a few hours. How did you survive? I was careful. Stayed in public places during the day. Avoided certain streets at night. She looked at me. I got lucky mostly. Could have been a lot worse. The third week, Juliet asked me something I wasn't expecting. Why are you doing this? We were closing up, counting the register. Doing what? Helping me. Letting me stay here. You don't know me. I'm getting to know you. But why? Most people would have said no. Sent me back to the shelter. I stopped counting. Looked at her. Do you want the truth? Always. I was alone for a long time before you walked in here. This shop felt empty. I felt empty. I folded a $20 bill, added it to the stack. You reminded me what this place was supposed to be. A place where people who love music can find each other. She was quiet for a moment. I keep waiting for you to change your mind. Tell me to leave. I'm not going to do that. People always leave or I leave. That's how it works. Not this time. She nodded, still not looking convinced. That weekend, I started checking the DNA website multiple times a day, refreshing my email every 15 minutes. The results posted on a Monday morning, 3 weeks and 4 days after we'd mailed the samples. I saw the notification on my phone while Juliet was organizing the new shipment. My hand shook when I opened my laptop. There it was, clear as day. Grandmother match, Juliet Vance. I stared at the screen, read it again. And again. She was Peter's daughter. I printed the results. My printer jammed twice before it worked. Juliet. My voice sounded strange. She came around the corner. Yeah. Can you come here for a second? She walked over, looked at my face. What's wrong? The DNA results are in. Oh, she brightened. What did we get? I pulled up the website on the laptop, turned it toward her. Look at this. She leaned in, read the screen. Her face changed, confused first, then shocked. Grandmother match. She looked at me. I don't understand. How is this possible? I took a breath. I have a son. His name is Peter. He's 43. 17 years ago, he dated your mother, Diana Hayes. That summer, she used to come here to meet him. Then she left. Went back to her hometown. Juliet's mouth opened, closed. You're saying, he's my father? But my mom said he was dead. She lied. Probably to protect you. Juliet sat down hard in the desk chair. I have a father. Yes. He's alive. Yes. She looked up at me, tears in her eyes. Do you think he knows about me? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. When? Soon. I need to talk to him first before. I stopped. I need to give him a chance to do the right thing. What if he doesn't want me? The fear in her voice was heartbreaking. The hope underneath it killing me. Then he's a fool, I said firmly. And you still have me. She wiped her eyes, looked at the screen again. We're really family. We're really family. She started crying then. Real crying. The kind that comes from somewhere deep. I put my arms around her and let her sob into my shoulder. My granddaughter. I had a granddaughter. That afternoon, I waited until Juliet went to run a few errands for the shop before I made the call. My phone sat on the counter in front of me. Peter's number still saved. 6 years since I'd used it. I picked it up, put it down, picked it up again. What was I supposed to say? Your daughter is here. The one you didn't know existed. Or maybe you did know and you never cared. I dialed before I could talk myself out of it. It rang 4 times. I almost hung up. Mom. His voice was the same as always, impatient, slightly annoyed. Peter. I need you to come to the shop. Silence on the other end. Why? I'm busy. I need to talk to you about something in person. It's critical. So tell me now. I'm on a video conference. I gripped the phone tightly. Do you remember Diana Hayes? Another silence. Longer this time. What? Diana Hayes, you dated her 17 years ago. Why are you bringing her up? He stopped himself. Just come to the shop today if you can. It's not something we can do over the phone. He sighed, heavy and annoyed. Fine. I can be there at 4 o'clock. But make it fast. 4 works. He hung up without saying goodbye. I stood there holding the phone, my hands shaking. Juliet came back 20 minutes later with a stack of sheet music she'd retrieved from the storage unit. You okay? She asked, setting the music down. You look pale. I called him, I said. She set the music down. And he's coming at 4 o'clock. Her face went through about 10 emotions at once. Hope, fear, excitement, dread. Should I be here? She asked. Maybe stay upstairs? Let you talk to him first. What if he's happy? She rushed on, the hope in her voice like a physical blow. What if he wants to meet me? Let's just see what he says. Stay upstairs, Juliet. Let me handle the initial shock. 4 o'clock came too fast and not fast enough. Juliet disappeared upstairs 15 minutes early. I heard her pacing overhead, the old floorboards creaking under her feet. 4:03 Peter walked in. He looked the same. Expensive tailored suit, same crisp haircut. He glanced around the shop like he was seeing a stranger's forgotten storage unit. Not the place he grew up in. Mom. A quick tight nod, not a hug. Peter, thank you for coming. You said it was important. So what's this about Diana Hayes? He stayed near the door, arms crossed. I locked the front door and flipped the sign to closed. We should sit. I'd rather stand. Fine, we do it his way. Diana had a daughter, I said, my voice steady. She's 18 years old. Her name is Juliet. His face didn't change. Okay. And she's your daughter, Peter. His face finally changed. A flash of irritation quickly masked. That's not possible. Absolutely not. It is possible. It's true. Diana and you broke up. She left. She left because she was pregnant with your baby. Peter shook his head. No. She would have told me. Would she? Or would she have been too scared, too hurt? He looked away, jaw tight. This is insane. I pulled the DNA results from under the counter, unfolded them, and set them on the wooden surface. These are DNA test results. Juliet took one. I took one. She's my granddaughter, which makes her your daughter. He stared at the paper. I watched his eyes move across the words, the match percentage. Where did you get this? You tested some random kid without telling me. She's not some random kid. She's Diana's daughter. Your daughter. Peter pushed the paper away. I don't believe this. The science is wrong. Labs make mistakes all the time. Peter, no. He stepped back. Why are you even telling me this? Why bring up old history? The coldness in his voice was like ice. Because she deserves to know her father, I said, matching his tone. Diana died 6 years ago. An accidental overdose. Juliet was 12. She's been in foster care in a group home. She ran away last year. She's been homeless. Nothing. No reaction at all. She's 18 years old, Peter. I continued, pushing him. And she's been through hell. The least you can do is meet her. I don't want to be a father, he said, flat and simple, like stating the obvious. My stomach turned. What? I never wanted kids, Mom. I made that clear back then. I told Diana that. When she started talking about the future, I told her I wasn't interested. That's probably why she left. He said it like it was a reasonable business transaction. So you knew, I whispered. You knew she was pregnant. Yeah. She told me. I told her I didn't want anything to do with it. I was clear about that. That's why she left before I had to deal with it. Deal with it. Like Juliet was an inconvenience. She's a person, Peter. A kid. Your kid. I have my own life. I'm building a multi-million-dollar venture. I'm not doing this. He crossed his arms. You won't even meet her? She's right here in this building working for me. His eyes flicked toward the stairs, then back to me. I don't care. Find someone else to guilt trip, Mom. I'm not interested in playing happy family in this dusty old shop. This isn't about playing anything. This is about a girl who deserves. What? A father who doesn't want her? That'll be great for everyone. He grabbed his keys from his pocket. Don't contact me about this again. He unlocked the door, walked out, and slammed the door shut behind him. He didn't look back. I stood there in the empty shop, the DNA results still on the counter, the silence pressing down. That was it. That was my son. I heard the door to the upstairs apartment open. Footsteps on the old floor. Juliet appeared in the doorway. Her face told me she'd heard everything. He doesn't want me, she said. Not a question. Just a statement of fact. Juliet, it's not okay. It's okay. She wiped her eyes fast. I figured. It's not okay. He should want you. He should have. It's fine, her voice cracked. I'm used to it. I came around the counter, pulled her into a hug. She cried quietly, the kind of quiet, deep crying you do when you're trying not to bother anyone. I'm sorry, I said. I'm so sorry. You tried. She muffled against my shoulder. That's more than most people would do. He's wrong, honey. You know that, right? This isn't about you. It's about him being selfish and cruel. She nodded against my shoulder. My mom was right. She told me he was dead. She was protecting me. She loved you. I know. We stood there for a long time, the shop quiet around us, the late afternoon light fading. Finally, Juliet pulled back, wiped her face, and steadied herself. So what now? She asked. Now you stay here with me, I said, holding her shoulders. This is your home. You don't have to. I want to. You're my granddaughter. You're my family. Peter doesn't get to decide that. What if he changes his mind? Then we'll deal with it, but I'm not holding my breath. She nodded, tried to manage a small wobbly smile. Can I ask you something? Anything. Do you think something's wrong with me? Like, why doesn't he want me? My heart broke. There's nothing wrong with you. Not one single thing. He's broken, not you. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. She hugged me again, tighter this time. Thank you, she whispered, for trying, for caring. You don't have to thank me. I do though. We stayed like that until the light outside turned purple. The next morning, we moved Juliet's things upstairs into the spare room. She didn't have much. The worn backpack, the leather songbook, 3 changes of clothes, and a toothbrush still in its package from the shelter. That's it. I asked. She shrugged. Easier to run when you don't have stuff weighing you down. You're not running anymore, I stated. She looked at me and nodded. I showed her the spare room, which had been Paul's old storage area. I'd cleared it out and put fresh sheets on the bed. This is mine, she asked. All yours. She set her backpack on the bed and ran her hand along the edge of the quilt. I haven't had my own room since I was 12. Well, you have one now. That night, I heard her moving around at 3 o'clock in the morning. I found her standing in the kitchen, pouring herself water. Can't sleep? I asked gently. Not used to it being quiet. Or warm. She drank the water slowly. At the shelter there's always noise. People yelling, doors slamming. You'll get used to it. Yeah. She smiled faintly. Thank you for this. For everything. Your family. This is where you belong. Within a week, she enrolled in night classes to finish her high school equivalency diploma. She worked the shop during the day, studied at the counter between customers, and managed both without complaining. Never late, never asking for anything. You're allowed to take breaks, I told her once. I'm fine, she insisted. I like being busy. The months moved fast. Her first listening club meeting brought in 8 people. By the 3rd month we had 18 regulars. Juliet led the discussions like she'd been doing it for years. She asked questions that made people think deeply about the music, making everyone feel heard. The shop started bringing in more money. Not a lot, but enough that I could pay Juliet a real fair wage, not just room and board. You don't have to, she said when I handed her the first proper check. Yes, I do. You work. You get paid. She stared at the check, a look of profound disbelief on her face. Spring turned to summer. Summer to fall. Juliet turned 19 in November. I made her a cake. lemon with buttercream frosting. She cried when she saw it. No one's made me a cake since I was 11, she said. We ate it in the kitchen upstairs, just the two of us. 2 weeks later, she walked across the stage and got her diploma. I sat in the audience with a dozen other families and watched her receive that piece of paper. She found me after the ceremony, hugging me hard. I didn't think I'd ever finish, she said. I knew you would. That winter, I found her leather notebook on the counter. She'd left it there while restocking. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. The pages were filled with lyrics, some crossed out, some finished. Her handwriting small and careful. The songs were good, really good, raw and honest about a girl surviving things she shouldn't have to survive, turning pain into melody. You read it, Juliet said behind me. I turned. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. It's okay. She took the notebook back. They're not very good. They're excellent. She looked doubtful. I mean it, I insisted. I've been listening to music for 70 years. I know good writing when I hear it. She bit her lip. You think I could write a song for real? A proper song? Yes. Really. 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 She started writing seriously after that. Every night after the shop closed, weekends, early mornings before we opened. At 21, she finished her first complete collection of songs and lyrics, calling it The Quiet Melody. I don't know if it's any good, she said, giving me the typed manuscript. But I finished it. I read it that night. All of it. I couldn't stop. When I finished, I went to her room and knocked. She opened it, saw my face. It's bad, isn't it? She asked, her voice tight. It's honest. It's beautiful. My voice cracked. Juliet, this is truly beautiful. She started crying again. You mean it? Every word. We spent the next year learning how to shop the material around. She sent samples to small production companies and talent scouts. She got rejections. Lots of rejections. Maybe it's not good enough, she said after the 20th one. It's good enough. You just haven't found the right person yet. She kept trying. The shop kept growing. Juliet set up social media accounts, posted short videos of rare vinyl, recommended playlists, photos of the store. People started coming in because they'd seen us online. You're good at this, I told her. It's easy when you love what you're doing. At 23, a small independent producer in Nashville said yes. Juliet called me from the back office, shaking. She wants to manage me. She thinks she can sell the songs. That's wonderful. 3 months later, the collection sold. Small deal, modest advance, but it was real. Juliet held the contract in her hands like it might disappear. I'm going to be a recorded artist, she said. Yes, you are. 2 years later, her debut album came out. We hosted the launch party at the shop. The place was packed. Juliet sang an acoustic set. Her voice was steady, strong, and deeply soulful. I stood in the back and watched her. This girl who'd walked in homeless and scared was now standing in front of 50 people, sharing her own words and music. After everyone left, we sat in the quiet shop. Thank you, Juliet said, for believing in me. I'll always believe in you. The album did well. Not a top 10 hit, but it sold. Got good reviews. Won a regional independent music award. The local paper did a small piece on her. Local artist finds her voice at Melody Lane. At 27, her second album came out. Sold better than the first. Publishers started paying attention. Her third album sold at auction. 6 labels bidding. The advance was $300,000. Juliet came upstairs that day, sat at the kitchen table, and put her head in her hands. You okay? I asked. I don't know what to do with this much money. Save some, invest some, buy yourself something nice. I want to give some to the shop, she said. No. Why not? Because you earned that. Your words, your work. You gave me everything, she countered. Let me give something back. We compromised. She helped with repairs. New shelving units, updated the ancient sound system, things the shop had needed for years. The shop thrived. Juliet thrived. We fell into rhythms. Morning coffee at the kitchen table before opening. Music talk during slow afternoons. Dinner together most nights. She'd tell me about her writing. I'd tell her about customers, about Paul in the early days of the store. 10 years passed like that. Juliet grew from a scared 18-year-old into a confident 28-year-old woman. She was kind, talented, strong in ways that still surprised me. But sometimes I'd catch her staring out the window, a look on her face I recognized. "What are you thinking about?" I asked once. "Nothing. Juliet." She sighed. "Do you think he ever thinks about me?" "Peter." Always Peter in the background. "I don't know. I wonder what it would be like having a father." "You don't need him." "I know, but sometimes I." She trailed off. "Never mind. You're allowed to want that. It's human." She never brought it up again. But I knew it was there. That quiet ache for something she'd never had. We'd built something good together, something real. But part of her still carried that wound. The father who didn't want her. I hoped time would heal it. I was wrong. Things stayed quiet for a few months after that conversation. Juliet kept writing and recording. The shop kept thriving. We had our morning coffee, our evening talks, our life together. I stopped worrying about Peter. He'd made his choice 10 years ago. As far as I knew, he'd forgotten we existed. I should have known better. One morning, Juliet came down to breakfast with her phone in her hand and a wide smile on her face. "Look at this," she said, scrolling rapidly. "Someone from that big Indie Music Today blog interviewed me last month. I forgot it was coming out today." I took the phone, read the headline. From homeless teen to chart topper, Juliet Vance's unbreakable journey. There was a beautiful photo of Juliet in the shop, surrounded by records and smiling. The article told her whole story. Diana, the struggle finding her mother dead, the group home, running away, a year on the streets, then finding Melody Lane records and finding me. It mentioned the $300,000 advance, her rising career, and how she'd been raised by her grandmother, Eleanor Vance. "This is good," I said, but my stomach tightened. "They want to feature me on a national podcast next month," Juliet said. "Isn't that crazy?" "That's wonderful." She took her phone back, scrolling through comments, people congratulating her, saying her story inspired them. I drank my coffee, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in my gut. The message came 2 days later. Juliet was organizing the new shipment when her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, stared at the screen. Her face went pale. "What is it?" I asked, walking over. She didn't answer, just kept staring. "Juliet." He messaged me. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Who?" "Peter. My father." My blood ran cold. "What?" She held up the phone. I read the message. "Hi, Juliet. I'm Peter Vance. I'm your father. Your grandmother told me about you a few years ago, and I wasn't ready then. I was wrong. I've regretted it every day since. I'd like to meet you if you're willing. I'm so sorry." I handed the phone back. "Don't answer that." "What?" "Don't answer it. Block him." "Why would I block him?" Her face changed instantly. "You don't know that he hasn't changed." "Yes, I do. He saw that article. He saw you're successful. He's interested now. Maybe he's genuinely changed. People like Peter don't change. You don't know him anymore. It's been 10 years. I know him better than anyone." Juliet put her phone in her pocket. "People deserve second chances." "Not him." "Why? Because he hurt you? Or because he didn't want me?" "Both." "Well, maybe I want to give him a chance anyway." We stared at each other. The first real fight we'd ever had. "If you do this," I said, my voice low, "he's going to hurt you. Or maybe he's genuinely sorry. Maybe he wants to be in my life. He abandoned you before you were born. And maybe he regrets it." The message says he regrets it. Words are easy, Juliet. "So, I shouldn't believe anyone who apologizes?" "You shouldn't believe him." She turned away. "I'm going to answer him." "Don't. It's my choice." She walked upstairs to her room and closed the door. I stood there in the shop, surrounded by records about heartbreak and triumph. This was going to end badly. I knew it in my bones. The first coffee meeting happened 3 days later. Juliet came home glowing. He was so nice, she said. He apologized for everything. Said he was young and scared. That he's thought about me for years. What else did he say? He asked about my music. About the new album. He seemed really proud. Of course he did. Are you going to see him again? He asked if we could meet next week. Is that okay? You don't need my permission. I know, but I don't want you to be upset. I'm not upset. I was terrified. I just want you to be careful. I will be. The meetings became regular. Once a week, then twice. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into lunch on weekends. Juliet texted me updates. He's so funny. He told me about his startup ideas. He asked to see my songbook. I watched from a distance, waited for the other shoe to drop. After a month, Peter started showing up at the shop. Always when I wasn't there. Juliet would mention it later. Dad stopped by today. Dad. She was calling him Dad now. What did he want? Just to say hi. He bought a record. One of mine. How nice. You don't like him being around. I don't trust him. You don't trust anyone. That's not true. You've been alone for so long. You forgot what it's like to let people in. That stung deep. I let you in. Because you had to. I needed help. That's not why. Then why don't you want me to have a father? I want you to have a father who actually cares about you. Not someone who showed up the second you became successful. Juliet's face hardened. You're wrong about him. I hope I am, I whispered. But I wasn't. 3 months in, things shifted. Juliet came home from dinner with Peter. Quiet. Thoughtful. Everything okay? I asked. He told me about a business opportunity. There it was. What kind of opportunity? Digital soundscapes, she said, her voice bright with belief. The market's finally ripe. Better than it was 10 years ago. The same pitch. Word for word. How much does he need? Juliet looked genuinely surprised. How did you know he needs money? Lucky guess. He needs investors, people who believe in the concept. And he asked you. He said he'd understand if I wasn't interested, but he wanted to give me first opportunity since I'm family. Since I'm family. The words made me sick. How much? $850,000 to start. But he says the returns could be huge. Juliet, I know what you're thinking, but he showed me the business plan. It's solid. Don't give him money. It's my money. I know, but please don't do this. He's my father. He's trying. He's a con artist. Stop it. Juliet stood up angry. You never wanted me to have a relationship with him. You're trying to sabotage this. I'm trying to protect you from him. From what? From having a parent who actually wants me. He doesn't want you, Mom. He wants your money. You don't know that. Yes, I do. No, you just can't stand that someone besides you cares about me. That's not fair. Neither is this. She grabbed her coat. I'm going for a walk. She left. I sat at the kitchen table, hands shaking. I had to do something. Had to prove what Peter was really after. The plan came to me that night. It was risky. If I was wrong, Juliet would never forgive me. But if I was right, she'd finally see the truth. I called Peter the next morning. Mom. He sounded surprised. What's going on? I need to talk to you in person. About Juliet. And money. Silence. Okay. When? Today. 4 o'clock. The shop. I'll be there. I hung up. I texted Juliet. I need you to trust me. Come to the shop at 4:15. Don't come inside. Wait in the back alley and listen. Please. She texted back an hour later. What's this about? Please just do this one thing for me. Fine. At 3:45, I closed the shop early, locked the front door. Peter arrived at 4:03. I let him in, locked the door behind him. What's this about? he asked, impatient. Sit down. He sat at one of the small listening tables, looking around the shop like he was appraising the dust. I've been thinking, I said, about what you said 10 years ago. About selling this place. His eyes sharpened instantly. Okay. You're ready. Maybe. You were right. I'm getting older. This is too much work. The property's worth a lot more now. $550,000 at least. I watched his face, saw the calculation happening behind his eyes. That's good, Mom, he said carefully. I'll sell it, I said. And I'll give you all the money. Every penny. $550,000. Maybe more if I get a good offer. He leaned forward, suddenly animated. Why would you do that? One condition. What? You disappear from Juliet's life completely. No contact. Block her number. Block her social media. Walk away and never come back. Peter stared at me. You're serious. Dead serious. The money's yours if you leave her alone. She's an adult. She can make her own choices. Then make yours. The shop or your daughter. He was quiet for maybe 7 seconds. An agonizing, profound silence. Deal, he said finally. My heart sank. I'd hoped I was wrong. When do I get the money? He asked. I need time to list the property. Few months. How do I know you'll actually do it? How do I know you'll actually sell? He smiled, cold and reptilian. I guess we trust each other. I guess so. I paused out of morbid curiosity. Why the yes, Peter? Why not fight me on this? Why not pretend you care? He shrugged, leaning back in the chair. Be realistic, Mom. She'll get over it. She got this far without me. She doesn't really need a father. She wanted one, though. Sure, but that's not my problem. And honestly, he looked around dismissively. She's got her music. Her writing. That'll keep her busy. Kids don't need as much as people think. That's your daughter you're talking about. That's $550,000 you're offering. Behind him, the back office door creaked open. Juliet stepped out. Her face was wet with tears, but her eyes were clear, focused on Peter. He turned, saw her, and his expression didn't change much, just a slight tightening around his mouth. Hey, Jules, he started, using the nickname he'd learned from me. Don't, she said, her voice steady and steel. Don't call me that. Look, this isn't. This is exactly what it looks like. She walked closer, her hand clutching the old songbook. You were using me. I wasn't. You were waiting for me to give you money the whole time. Every coffee, every dinner, you were just waiting. That's not true. Yes, it is. You said it yourself. I don't really need a father. Peter stood up quickly. She set this up. She manipulated this whole conversation, Juliet. You shouldn't listen to her. She was right about you the whole time, Juliet cut across him. And I didn't believe her. Juliet, come on. You're smarter than this. Yeah, I am. She crossed her arms. Get out. There's no shop money, is there? Peter looked at me, realizing he'd been tricked. No, I said. His face went hard, twisting into pure spite. This is ridiculous. I never wanted a kid then, and I don't need this drama now. He grabbed his jacket. You two deserve each other. Stuck in this pathetic old music shop playing Happy Family. He walked to the door, unlocked it, and slammed it behind him. Juliet stood there, shaking. I went to her, put my arms around her. She collapsed, sobbing into my shoulder. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry you had to hear that. You were right, she cried. You were right about everything. I wish I'd been wrong. I know, honey. I know. I'm so stupid. You're not stupid. You wanted a father. That's human. He never cared. No, he didn't. We stood there in the shop, just the two of us. The only family either of us needed. Thank you, Juliet said finally, pulling back and wiping her eyes. For what? For saving me from making a huge mistake. That's what family does. A year passed. We didn't hear from Peter. Not a word. Juliet blocked his number, blocked his social media. He was gone from our lives like he'd never been there at all. Good riddance. Juliet's third album hit the charts in the spring. Not just the small ones, the big ones. Billboard, Rolling Stone. Her face was on display in music stores across the country. We celebrated with takeout Chinese food in the apartment. Just the two of us. The way we liked it. This is insane, Juliet said, scrolling through her phone. People are actually listening to my music. Of course they are. It's brilliant. She smiled. Set the phone down. I'm working on something new. Another album. And a book. A memoir. A memoir. About us. About the shop. About finding family when you least expected it. My throat tightened. If that's okay with you, she added quickly. More than okay. That summer she started therapy twice a week. Working through the abandonment, the rejection, all the years of hurt. It helps, she told me once, talking about it. Good. That's good. Melody Lane Records kept thriving. We hosted more events, listening parties, local artist showcases. Young musicians started showing up, kids who'd aged out of foster care, teenagers who reminded me of Juliet at 18. She mentored them, sat with them by the old piano, listened to their songs, told them they had talent, gave them hope. You're good at this, I told her. I remember what it felt like having no one believe in you. At 79, I was still running the shop. My hair had gone completely silver. My hands ached in the mornings, but I showed up every day, opened the doors, made the coffee. Juliet had moved into her own apartment a few blocks away. She decorated it with records and framed platinum albums on the walls, but she came to the shop every morning. We still had our coffee together, still talked about music, still lived the rhythms we built over 12 years. Her fourth album came out in the fall. I opened the lyric booklet to the dedication page. To Eleanor, who gave me home, family, and the first quiet moment to hear the melody. I cried right there at the counter. Didn't even try to hide it. By December, we were planning the Christmas event. Juliet's latest album. A listening party and signing. We decorated the shop. Lights in the windows, garland on the shelves. It looked like something from an old movie. The night of the event, people packed the place. Standing room only. Customers I'd known for years. New faces who discovered us online. Young artists Juliet had mentored. Juliet stood at the front, performed a new song, her voice clear and strong. I stood in the back, watched her command the room. This woman who'd walked in 12 years ago with nothing but a worn backpack and a desperate hope. She built this, her career, her life, her confidence. After everyone left, we cleaned up, stacked chairs, swept the floor, put the garland back in place. I made tea in the back office, brought out 2 cups. We sat in the reading chairs by the window, the street outside dark except for the streetlights, the shop warm and quiet around us. I never thanked you properly, Juliet said. For what? For that day when I walked in here. You didn't have to hire me. You didn't have to care. I saw you. That's all. Most people don't see homeless kids. They look away. Well, I'm glad I didn't. Me too, she sipped her tea. This shop was struggling when you got here, you know. I barely had customers. You saved me too, I said. We sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes from years of knowing someone, of building a life together one day at a time. Juliet laughed suddenly, scrolling through her phone. The sound filled the shop, bounced off the shelves, warmed the corners that used to feel so cold. I looked around at the records, at the lights in the window, at this girl who'd become a woman, who'd become my family. 12 years ago, I'd been alone, grieving, going through the motions. Then a girl walked in asking for a job, and everything changed. Not because of grand gestures or dramatic moments, but because of coffee in the mornings. music shared in the afternoons, dinner conversations that stretched into evening, small kindnesses that built into something unbreakable. Peter never understood that. He'd been looking for something big, something profitable, something impressive. He'd missed what was right in front of him. His loss. Juliet set her cup down. I should head home. Early morning tomorrow. Okay. She hugged me at the door. Love you. Love you too. She walked out into the December cold. I watched through the window until she turned the corner. Safe. I locked up, turned off most of the lights, left the window display glowing. Upstairs, the apartment was quiet, but not lonely anymore. Never lonely. I made myself another cup of tea, sat at the kitchen table, and looked at the framed photo Juliet had given me last Christmas. The two of us in the shop, both smiling. My granddaughter, my family. Tomorrow she'd be back. We'd have our coffee, talk about music, serve customers, live our ordinary, extraordinary life. So that's my story. I'd love to hear what you think. Should Juliet have given Peter a second chance, or was listening to me the right choice from the start? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more stories like mine. Kindly subscribe and walk with me as I reveal more stories of revenge, resilience, and the hard-earned strength that comes with age.